Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project webinar. My name is Kirsten Bayer with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support at Illinois State University, and I will be the moderator and technical assistance on today's session. Today's topic is self-advocacy, specifically the need or the skill to speak up for your needs. Just a couple of housekeeping reminders before we get started this morning. As a reminder, all participants on this call are in listen-only mode, and if you have questions as the webinar proceeds, please post those in the question box. This text box might be labeled something differently for you depending on where you're accessing this session this morning. It could be labeled the question box, the comment box, or the chat box. It's important to know that this text box is synonymous, and you can chat with the presenters and myself today through that and ask any questions or post any comments or concerns. Another note that this webinar is being recorded, and the presentation recording and materials from today will be available on our website and the autism website as well, and we will put that in the chat for you. Tomorrow, each attendee will receive a follow-up email, which will include a survey asking you about today's webinar. Please provide us with any feedback or suggestions to help improve upcoming webinars. Our professional development team would greatly appreciate that. And then another reminder, if you have faulty internet connection or audio connection this morning and would prefer to call in, you can do so using the phone number in your original registration email that you received from GoToWebinar. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to our presenter and my colleague today, Carissa Melody, and she's going to start us off.
Thank you so much. Good morning and welcome to our self-advocacy webinar. Kirsten, thank you. Next slide. So the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project develops and presents resources that assist individuals with autism in their transition from secondary education to post-secondary education or employment. ATTA provides training to support important stakeholders as they work to provide an equitable experience for individuals on the spectrum. Next slide, please. So it's been brought to you. Next slide, please. Sorry. Thanks, Kirsten. Oh, I didn't realize it changed. Sorry. The ATTA project is just one of many projects at the Illinois Specialized Center for Professional Support, and we create, support, and deliver professional development for education professionals across Illinois. ICSPS provides technical assistance, develops publications, facilitates program improvement strategies, our partners as they relate to college transition, recruitment, retention, and completion, encouraging achievement of special populations, learners. ICSPS was actually founded in 1977 at Illinois State University and is housed in the Educational Administration and Foundations Department. That was a lot to say. So next slide, please. It's made available through a partnership between ICSPS and the Illinois State Board of Education, and ATTA seeks to develop and share resources that assist individuals with autism spectrum disorder as they transition from secondary education to post-secondary education or employment. The project provides training and supports to stakeholders like a lot of you on this call as you continue to work towards providing equitable experiences for individuals with autism. So our next slide, I'm going to launch a poll. ISB has defined these 6 areas on this map. So in order to collect some data on the most reached regions, I want you to tell us which of these 6 regions you're in. And within these 6 regions, there's 10 regional offices in the state of Illinois and 30 offices of regional education, each with its own superintendent. So since GoToWebinar only allows 5 choices, Chicago and the Northeast are lumped together. So please select which area you represent today.
We're going to give everyone about 30 seconds to answer this poll here.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much for voting. So in the next slide is very similar, again, in an effort to collect more data on the stakeholders that we're reaching. Please let us know which stakeholder or which stakeholders you represent, and check all that apply. You might be a parent and an educator, or you might be a young adult.
Just a couple more seconds for this poll.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much. So next slide, please. I just want to share with you some statistics and facts about autism spectrum disorder. It's a developmental disability, a neurology-based condition that can cause significant social communication and behavioral changes. There's often nothing about how people look with ASD that sets them apart from other people, but they may communicate, interact, behave, and learn in ways that are different from most people. The learning, thinking, problem-solving abilities of people with autism can range from severely gifted to severely challenged, which is why it's a whole spectrum. Some people with autism need more help in their daily lives than others. Often individuals with autism have some repetitive behaviors and can be very rigid or inflexible with their thinking. About 1 in 54 children have been identified with autism spectrum disorder, according to estimates from the CDC's Autism and Developmental Disabilities Monitoring Network. ASD is reported to occur in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups. However, it's 4 times more likely to occur among boys than girls. Girls are just better at kind of hiding the symptoms, I guess. So here in the States, United States, we use the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, to diagnose autism. This is also what they use in the UK. So next slide, please. Just briefly, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself so you know my background and where I'm coming from. My name's Carissa Melody. I've been with ICSPS since October of 2020. Just celebrated my 28th wedding anniversary with my husband, Mark. I have 3 children in the midst of adolescence. We have ages 20, 18, and 15. I also have 10 years experience teaching special education in very structured life skills classrooms for students aged 3rd through 8th grade. About 90% of my students receive services under the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. In my 10 years of teaching, all but 2 of my students were considered nonverbal, and their communication breakdown came with some behavioral challenges, which motivated me to pursue my master's degree in applied behavior analysis. So I'm very, very familiar with autism. However, to quote Dr. Stephen Shore, I love this quote, if you met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Now I'm going to turn my camera off so you can focus on the presentation. I just wanted to introduce myself. We'll have some time at the end for questions. In the handouts are the slides and also the document that I'll be going over today. So our agenda today is talking about self-advocacy. We're going to explore some definitions relating to self-determination. We're going to take an in-depth look at our ATTA document, the student self-assessment, which I just said is in your handouts. It explores several categories, and you'll see that it's not just for students. This document is helpful in not only to identify individuals with Autism Spectrum Disorder and their challenges, but a variety of individuals with disabilities at any stage in their lives. This can be used in high school and when discovering the skills that are challenging in college, on the job, at home, in the community. Parents, educators, employers, and students should all be encouraging those who could benefit and learn from this assessment to take it now and revisit it every single year. So we're also going to discuss some strategies for working through weaknesses or challenges that are brought up during this self-assessment. So next slide, I'm going to launch a poll question about choices. So would you rather have a boss, a teacher, or a supervisor who is, so just select one, solely in charge, partially in charge, has a vested interest, or is hands off? All right, let's see what you thought. Okay, has a vested interest. All right. So next slide, please. We're gonna take you through these choices just with some scenarios, and then we'll revisit this later. So keep your choices and answers in mind, and imagine for a moment we're at a food court and we're both really, really hungry for lunch. So let's go through each choice and see how you feel through this scenario. So choice number one, I am solely in charge. I'm the boss of you. I'm in charge of everything you do. I decide where you'll eat, what you're going to eat. Because it's convenient for me that we eat together, I choose a vegetarian restaurant with super healthy choices and tons of veggies. I'm going to allow you to pay, but I'm going to give you the debit card and tell you exactly how to use it. I'm going to tell you what table to sit at. I might choose a table that in a crowded, noisy area next to the outside door, and the weather here in Illinois is very unpredictable. Gorgeous day today, but you just never know. I might also seat us under bright fluorescent lights. So choice number two scenario, I'm partially in charge. You can make your own choices, but you need permission for everything you do. You need to ask permission to eat at a certain restaurant. You need to ask if it's okay to order certain foods. I might say no to French fries because I feel you need healthier choices. You ask me for the money to pay or ask me to count your money for you. You need to ask permission to seat at a certain table. Choice number three, a lot of you chose, is a shared partnership where no permission is needed. So you are free to make your own choices. I'm going to be right there beside you to support you. I'm going to share in all of your consequences of your actions. So let's say you order a burger and it's not cooked all the way through. If you don't feel comfortable approaching the restaurant asking for the burger to be cooked properly, I, of course, will go with you. However, I'm still waiting for my big vegetarian meal with all those fresh veggies, so you're going to need to wait until I'm ready to go with you. Let's say you accidentally spilled your drink. I'm right there with you to locate an employee and start helping you clean it up. However, I just sat down with my great delicious meal, so I'm busy getting myself organized and getting ready to take my first bite. I definitely look a little annoyed, but I'm right here by your side to help you. So lastly, choice number four, you are solely responsible for all your own actions and consequences. You have full freedom and independence. You choose and order anything you like. Your burger is not cooked properly, so you immediately go back and request for it to be cooked thoroughly. You spill your drink and immediately grab paper towels and begin cleaning it up. You locate the employee on the way to get paper towels to tell him about the mess and ask him if he can help clean it up, or you ask me to help you clean it up, or vice versa. And I'm happy to help you locate an employee or start cleaning you up since you asked so nicely, and I'm here in a friendly, supportive capacity. I don't have to be in charge of you as my duty. I can help you just because I want to. So as I go through this presentation, keep these choices in mind. I'm going to run this poll again at the end and see if you feel the same about it. So next slide, we're going to talk about some definitions. Self-determination is the all-encompassing definition for everything we're going to discuss today. When you have self-determination, you are solely in charge of all of your choices and all of your consequences. You get to be your own boss and advocate for yourself. This definitely can be very scary, even as an adult, but with the right supports, it'll help build self-confidence over time. It can promote peace and acceptance, teaching society to embrace your disability and improve living for individuals on the autism spectrum or any other diagnosis. It helps to achieve varying levels of independence as they learn to communicate specific needs and utilize talents. Speak up for yourself, ask for specific needs, tell others your thoughts and feelings, know your rights and responsibilities, gain the knowledge yourself, and use all the resources available to you. Because after high school, at the age of 18, individuals with disabilities are no longer entitled to the services detailed by the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. So this is very important that we help with self-determination. So next slide is going to go over more definitions that fall under the self-determination umbrella. So first, self-awareness, which is just knowing yourself, your abilities, your challenges, your interests, the ability to reflect accurately, manage yourself in the moment, be proactive for future goals, utilize your supports. Self-advocacy next is expressing your needs. So it's up to you to know yourself and educate others about you. Then self-management, working through or managing one's own performance, working through embarrassing situations, confusion, disappointment, frustrations. Then self-efficacy, this is the belief that you can be successful when carrying out a particular task. So let's say you're playing baseball. You get up to bat and you believe you're going to get a hit every single time you get up to bat, or do you get up to bat and believe you're going to strike out every time? A similar scenario with schoolwork. You believe if you study hard, you get good grades, this is going to give you validation that you're a good student. Or do you believe that even if you study hard, you'll get bad grades, and this is going to give you validation that you're not a good student? So believing you're going to get that hit every single time, or you're a really good student all the time, no matter what, is a way more positive, encouraging, and productive way to live. And then lastly, self-reflection. Self-reflection is so important to give serious thought to any situation, help with planning, decision-making, and future long-term goals. So now the next slide, we're going to take an in-depth look at that ATTA student self-assessment document that you're going to find in your handouts section. Also, you're going to find it on our website, autismcollegeandcareer.com, and under every single stakeholder, you're going to find resources that we have created just for you. And we've also thrown in there some resources from some state and national websites or agencies. So you're going to find in the assessment heading on our website under the student and young adult section, this resource. The self-assessment is designed to assist in assessing one's abilities and goals. A clear understanding of strengths, interests, and weaknesses is essential in the transition process. The areas that are challenging in one's life, identifying your unique needs forms the foundation of preparing for educational, career-related, or social situations. So this self-assessment document is going to cover academics, independent living, socialization, safety, sexuality, stress, and personal insight. We recommend the assessment is repeated every single year. So this will give a good understanding of the areas requiring strategies or accommodations in the moment, and it's also going to give a clear understanding of strengths and areas and strategies that are not needed, or some of these accommodations or strategies that might become a crutch to you that you can try to ditch. Taking it every single year and comparing the results should show growth and increased independence, allowing for a chance to evaluate the strategies and accommodations that are needed, and again, those that can be faded out. So the rating system is super simple. It's just a 1 if you can't perform the skill, a 2 if you need physical prompting, 3 if you can perform with some help, 4 if you need some gestures or verbal prompts, maybe pictures or written cues, and then 5 if you can complete it totally independently. And you can still give yourself a 5 if some supervision is required, but you're not receiving direct assistance. Again, after age 18, it is a must to be able to advocate for oneself, your disability-related accommodations in education and the workplace, believing in yourself that you can be successful, make decisions, act independently, evaluate yourself, and modify your performance, adjust goals, adjust your plans, improve your performance, and meet your future long-term goals. So we're going to go into each area of this assessment and explore some strategies for every different area. So Section 1, the next slide, please, Kirsten, is the academic portion of the assessment. It has 10 skills to rate. So academic skills definitely make you think these are school-related skills. However, if you look at these skills, they can be applied to a job situation, a meeting, continued education, or on-the-job training. So the first 6 show where you fall in self-awareness, including your needs, your limitations, your values. Can you take notes while you're listening in class and actively participate at the same time? Do you complete assignments on your own? If you've ever evaluated yourself, you know you're typically the hardest on yourself. So this should give you a good understanding of where you're at. So next slide is just some strategies. So once each skill is scored and the challenging areas become evident, strategies can be implemented. So the goal is to choose strategies that can be used independently and faded over time. So here's some examples. Most of these can be used in high school, post-secondary education, and in the employment setting. And this list is more about strategies leading to independence. So handwriting is really not required in life. There's assistive technology devices for keyboarding and speech to text now. Keyboarding notes into the Notes app on an iPhone is assistive technology. Speaking to your phone to translate to text is assistive technology. So if you're a person that has a hard time writing notes while listening, maybe you could ask for a copy of the teacher's notes, the presentation, or some guided notes. Most teachers give rubrics for big assignments or projects, also calendars, schedules. Again, added documents, we have a syllabus organizer. Introducing yourself to your teacher, your employer, and building that relationship with them is actually your greatest asset. So the next section of the self-assessment, next slide please, is our independent living skills assessment. So this category just broadly goes through the skills you'd use both at home and in school. After going through this assessment, the individual would have a better understanding of the life skills they need to work on, which help with their input for their IEP or their 504 plan. So anytime you can involve the individual in creating their goals, they're more likely to meet them and exceed them. So this participation in goal planning is essential, and it'll help with future employment. It includes taking an active role in planning, learning, advocating, self-knowledge about abilities, challenges, interests, and needs. Independence-related areas like medication, travel, nutrition, and hygiene are all in this portion of the assessment. So the next slide just kind of shows us independent living skills awareness. So once you create that portion of the assessment and identify things that are challenging, then the work can be done to manage these skills. And ultimately, this is going to lead to becoming more independent. So figure out where the skills are lacking and make plans to conquer them using task lists, checklists for routines, reminders, timers, calendars. Practice these skills as often as you can in real time and real life. So real life practice is the best way to learn. handling money, traveling safely, looking at stoplights, and things like that. So moving right along, the next slide is on socialization. So some people actually believe that individuals with autism are antisocial. This is definitely a myth. Someone with autism might struggle with social skills, and these skills might need to be taught and practiced, but humans are made to be social and want human interaction. So this is where self-awareness and self-advocacy play important roles. The ability to know your interest and seek others with common interests will allow you to be more involved in groups, social outings, enjoy conversations with others. So assessing the needs in this category is going to help determine specific skills to focus on socially. And then the next slide is just a couple lists of some social skills strategies and then the outcomes when there's challenges with socialization and then they're addressed and developed. So knowing the social rules for a situation can reduce anxiety about situations. There's different social rules when you're in a classroom, when you're out to dinner, gaming with a friend online, maybe you're at a social club meeting or you're at a little casual party. So some of these social skills may develop over time. Others need to be practiced. So this might include conversational skills like body language, problem solving skills, emotional skills, displaying your feelings, understanding others' feelings. This is really tough. Good, polite manners go a long way. So perception of others is so hard for most kids, but even harder with individuals with autism. Some call it mind blindness. It's a difficulty in seeing others' point of view, and it can hinder a kiddo in reading comprehension if you can't take the perspective of characters. But practice and role play in real life or realistic situations is the best way to learn to be more perceptive. Another good strategy is watching videos. Watch some videos on mute and try to figure out what emotions they're showing, what conversation is taking place. Looking at the body language of people in videos is good practice. Trying to decide what they think or feel by keeping it on mute and watching their mannerisms. The knowledge of whether you do best in a group or in a one-on-one setting can help you navigate a new situation. So make sure the activity, first of all, is enjoyable and meshes with your interests, and then make sure it's happening in a place where the individual feels comfortable. The location should not be the cause of anxiety. So the next slide is sexuality. So this is a topic that needs to be thought of, assessed, and considered. Assessing knowledge and views and understanding yourself can help ease the anxiety of this topic. Nobody wants to talk about this. It's uncomfortable. So sexual interest is normal during high school and post-secondary years. But there's a need for some concrete educational information that's given by professionals, parents, maybe a trusted mentor, not necessarily their peers. Understanding the differences in an intimate relationship compared to one based on friendship can prevent some very embarrassing situations. There needs to be an understanding about sex and the fact that it's private. Self-knowledge is critical when it comes to sensory needs too. Physical contact can be a trigger in a bad way for a lot of kiddos on the spectrum. Safety, consent, appropriate and inappropriate behavior, boundaries, physical and emotional feelings all need to be discussed, again, with a trusted individual or professional. Parents, educators, and counselors all play important roles in raising awareness. Some of the strategies could be social narratives, social stories, role playing, discussions, quizzes, and putting information into context are all helpful strategies when considering sexuality. So next slide, please, is just our safety and health assessment section of the assessment, helping individual determine differences in who's trustworthy, when you're being taken advantage of, knowing when to share personal information and what to keep private. When you're hurt, what do you do? And what's the difference between your head hurting and a broken bone? So many children with autism or adults with autism have very, very low, a high pain tolerance. So, you know, they just aren't able to tell when they broke a bone or when they need to seek medical assistance. So these are things that need to be discussed. And who do you call in an emergency? And also treating your body right and staying healthy by exercise and proper nutrition. Not when I take you to the food court and tell you have to eat a vegetarian meal. If you really want those French fries, eat those French fries. But maybe the next meal you have try to have vegetables. So next slide is about stress. Everyone experiences stress at different times in their day. I was stressed out before this presentation. It makes me nervous. I haven't presented for long, so it's a little stressful for me. But both negative and positive situations can bring on stress, like sitting down to take a test, planning a big event like a wedding, which is a super happy time, but it's stressful. Driving on an unfamiliar road at night in the rain. How your body responds to stress is different for every single person and each situation. Like being stuck in an elevator could cause some stress for all of us, but it could be way more stressful for those with fears of confined spaces. However, being stuck in an elevator by yourself at night with no cell phone or no means of contacting others might cause major stress for all of us and some debilitating stress for others. So when experiencing stress, the body has triggers. There's some internal triggers like you can't sleep at night. There's some automatic triggers like feelings of anger, sadness, scared. Your mood might change. Can you recognize your stress triggers? And when you're stressed out, there could also be some behavioral indicators like self-stimulating behaviors, tapping, humming, yelling, running. And do you have strategies to help reduce stress and move beyond the situation you're in? Do others know your triggers, and will you accept help from them in the moment, hopefully beforehand? Can you self-regulate, or does calming need to be led by another individual? When you feel stress coming on, recognizing and taking a break can be a game changer. A quiet space to go to, walk away from the stressful situation, some sensory input, either calming activities or energy releasing activities can really help manage your stress. So really taking a good look at stress and how to handle it can help you with school, with work, with community, social events. So important to get a hold of that piece. Next slide, please. So the next slide is about personal insight. The personal insight portion of the assessment is directly linked to that self-efficacy and self-reflection. What are your beliefs about yourself? What do you believe about your ability? Do you possess self-confidence? Do you self-reflect, giving serious thought to understanding yourself, your disability, and take responsibility for who you are and what you need? If you can understand your abilities and your challenges, you can make meaningful future plans and execute them. You are solely in charge. You make all of your own decisions, and all the consequences are yours to enjoy or work through. So next, I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll again about choices, just to see if I've changed your mind just a little bit. So again, would you rather have a boss, teacher, or supervisor who is solely in charge of you, partially in charge, has a vested interest in you, or is hands off and lets you be in charge and make your own choices and either deal with the consequences or celebrate the consequences. All right, let's see where we're at. Yeah, so we had some changes there. So hopefully this presentation will help you with yourself, with your students, because we have a lot of educators on this call, with your children, with your workers. You know, you might be an employer that has some workers at school. So we explored definitions relating to self-determination. We took an in-depth look at our ATTA document, the student self-assessment. We explored all the categories it covered. We discussed strategies for working through weaknesses or challenges brought up in different portions of the self-assessment. So I'd like to take some time. I kind of blew through that pretty fast presentation. So now I'd like to take some time to answer any questions you might have about this presentation. So go ahead and go to the chat and just let me know if you have any questions about anything.
There are not any questions right now in the chat, Carissa. I did want to reiterate that this session is being recorded and it will be up on the autism website, which is posted in the chat. And I will post that again just for your convenience.
Thank you so much. So on the final slide, just has, again, thank you so much for participating. I hope no questions meant that I was thorough in my explanation, and hopefully you'll find this resource helpful. On our, go ahead and go to the final slide, Kirsten. It just has, again, our website, the Autism College and Career.com. You can contact me directly at my email address. Is that on my slide? I didn't even notice, but it's the clmelod@ilstu.edu. So you can contact me directly. I would love it, that interactive, the map that I put up there that is be created with all the regions. What I'm working on is compiling resources for each region. So if you have any go-to resources that you give to other, you know, friends, parents, other educators, employers or employees, any resources that you feel like fits with our mission here at ATTA, reaching kiddos on the autism spectrum in that transition phase from high school to post-secondary education or employment, please feel free to share with me all of those resources. I would love to list them under your region so that people can have one, you know, good place to go to with a wide variety of resources. So again, I don't know if I should apologize for being so short. 40 minutes.
Had some questions coming.
Oh, good.
Okay, so do you have any advice for school social workers?
Right now, I feel it's kind of broad, but I feel like right now in the pandemic that we're in, I feel like maybe, I'm not sure what your situation is, whether you're in person or hybrid or still trying to reach all these students via Zoom. But, you know, students are very resilient. They will bounce back, but right now, they really, I feel like, need us to just ask, what can I help you with? What can I do for you? You know, are you experiencing any new emotions where you can help regulate them at home? Or, you know, if you're in school, maybe they're having some different feelings about school because there is so many extra things put on them right now. So I just feel like I said, it's kind of broad, so I'm not sure specifically what you're asking, but I feel like, you know, just reaching out and making sure that they know that there's a person that they can open up with and count on, and that relationship is huge. So if you can develop a relationship with them, that could mean that you're talking about their favorite video game or whatever their interest is, and just being there for them and developing that relationship. That way you can kind of really get into them and see what is causing them happiness or stress or whatever's going on right now, and go from there.
Great. And Brooke, if you wanted to elaborate and be more specific, Carissa would be happy to
Yeah,
answer that.
for sure.
Um, we asked someone, or someone asked if there will be CPDUs available. I believe that's like certificates of participation for attending this session.
Well,
There
we
will.
don't offer CPDUs, but we do offer a certificate. So it is a little different. So CPDU would be something that they could record the time for educational hours. So, but yes, there will be a certificate of attendance.
Their certificate of attendance will be emailed to you in the follow-up email. You should receive it tomorrow. But if you need one and you don't receive it, please reach out to either Carissa or our support email, and we can get you a certificate. And I'll put the support email in the chat for you. Okay. Emily says, I am a BCBA and I'm looking forward to using this resource. Do you happen to know if any other assessments that insurance companies might approve for treatment planning?
I don't, but I can look into that for you for sure. If you want to go ahead and give me your email address, that's something I can definitely research for you.
Rhonda Graves says, I see you have a transition program called Mark First. We are headed into our third year of project search. There are YouTube videos about it if you're interested in finding out more. So I think that's a resource for her. And we've actually worked with Mark First, correct?
Yes. Yeah, actually, Mark First was featured in our January webinar, Transition to Employment. So we were able to feature Mark First and talk about all their transition programs and things they have available in the McLean County community. So thank you so much, Rhonda.
Emily also wanted you to know that she was very excited that you studied ABA.
Thank you, Emily. Yes, it's very helpful in working with students on the autism spectrum. Just, you know, building that relationship and getting to the deep-rooted heart of what, you know, makes them happy and what causes some of that, the breakdowns and the behaviors.
Okay, I'm just going through here. I put the support email in the chat. Oops, I keep misspelling things. I apologize. Let me put it in there again. And then we've just been getting a lot of thank yous to you, Carissa, which is great. I think that's it.
Thank you, guys. And please, yeah, get on our website because there are so many great resources under all of the stakeholders. There's resources, there's other assessments. I love the work assessment where it helps to identify the work environment, whether you work well around sounds or lights, or you need it to be quiet. So there's some really good assessments out there.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Carissa, and thank you to all of our attendees for your time this morning. Again, this session was recorded, so if you need to reference it later or if you would like to send it out. Oh, we had one more question come in.
Great.
Um, how do I, as a teacher, successfully balance being always present and giving them their space to grow and become fully independent?
I know it's not easy. And it's hard to let kids fail. You really need to have the kiddo on board, the parents on board, the rest of your staff on board. For me, because I taught in a classroom with some severe needs, I had a lot of aides. We would talk about how each kid had 7 mothers. And so even though one of us would really try to promote that independence and let them make some mistakes so that they could learn from them and move on. Some of the other mothers might do things for them. And so we really had to have a lot of conversations and make sure we were all on the same page, and even with the parents at home, and just really make sure everyone is aware of the importance of independence as they grow and as they get into high school and maybe desire to go to college, or, you know, all of us want these kids to have a job someday, a lucrative, viable, paying position someday where they can really feel like, you know, their needs and skills are I guess, celebrated. So I feel like you really need to get the buy-in from yourself, the parents, the other staff, the kiddo, and really show them long-term, how is this going to help you? Do you always want to keep saying, am I doing this right? Is this okay? Check this, check that. You have to have a little bit of sabotage, set them up for failure, but not to the point of frustration. So there really is a fine line. If you're trying to organize your classroom, whatever their skills are, if you want to look back through our webinars, the webinar I did in October was on executive function skills. So there's a lot of really good strategies in that executive function skills webinar. As far as task lists, like little checklists that they can just have before I turn something in, depending on what age group. You know, things like, do I have my name on my paper? Did I answer every question? If there's a rubric, maybe highlight some portions of the rubric. You know, did I complete every single portion of the rubric so that I'm turning in a complete assignment? So if you're looking for some classroom help, I feel like that executive function skills webinar is going to be game changer for you. And then also on our website, on our autismcollegeandcareer.com, the first thing you come upon is some COVID-19 resources. So there's a lot of really good resources in that document, as far as some visuals where you can see some different types of organizational things for the student to help, you know, step by step reach that level of independence.
Great, thank you, Carissa. Another question, a couple came in. Lila, or I apologize if I'm not saying that right, Lila, but Lila was who asked that question, and she said she will definitely check those resources out. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Rosalie said, how do you encourage parents who'd rather their child get full SSI rather than work and less SSI?
I think SSI is definitely kind of a security blanket. parents are definitely worried that they are not going to be around someday and they want their kiddo to be taken care of. So I would maybe suggest, because they can receive SSI and work 25 hours a week, so maybe if you can do some combination like that to start with, and then maybe the student will actually find value in working and really want to put all of their efforts into work, and maybe they'll want the independence of work and to, you know, be self-employed, not self-employed, but I guess independently, monetary wise, where their employment takes care of them instead of SSI.
Okay, great, thank you. I don't see any other questions coming through. And again, you will receive a follow-up email with that certificate of participation tomorrow, and it will house our follow-up survey, sorry. And if you could take that, it'll take about 5 minutes out of your workday. We would really appreciate it. You can leave us any feedback about this session or potentially future sessions that you're interested in learning about. And we would love to support you in those topics and offer PD on them. And it looks like,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought you might be done. Sorry.
you're fine, go.
I want to say real quick that I'm so excited about our April speaker next month. It's Kate Kerr, and she's a college student at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. And Kate is on the autism spectrum, high functioning academically, but man, she has been through tried school, homeschooled, tried school again, homeschooled, graduated high school at a local high school, and then went to Bradley. And she's just got big goals for herself. And she's been through and still battling anxiety and depression and some of the other comorbidities that go along with autism. So Kate is just a dynamic speaker. And I feel like all of us, educators, other students on the spectrum, parents, employers, we can all learn from Kate's energy and just Kate's experiences. And then in May, we have Dr. Teresa Reagan is going to do a webinar on mental health awareness. She's going to focus on self-care, and Dr. Reagan is actually a neuropsychologist, and she founded the OSF Adult Autism Diagnostic Clinic at OSF in Peoria, Illinois. So I love Dr. Reagan because she's a down-to-earth, very plain term kind of speaker. So someone that I can really relate to. I feel like she doesn't speak over my head, which I really appreciate. So anyway, April and May are going to be some really great webinars. So check out some of our past webinars and then register for April and May on our website for sure.
Yes, great, thank you. And we also have our June webinar which you can register. So we have April, May, and June that are already planned out. And the June webinar will be all about how to make the most of summer. So just a little marketing, little put in there for you guys to register for our upcoming webinars. And you can do so on our website or on the ICSPS website as well. And all of those websites are in the chat. They're also on the slide, so you can access them at a later date if you need to. And with that, I think we are good to go. There's no more questions coming in. Krista, do you have any last remarks?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much for attending today. I hope you enjoyed our presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we hope to see you on our April presentation.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.